Your excuses are valid. 100%. Yes, I said it. You don't hear that often, but it's the truth. Your excuses are valid. Your excuse for procrastinating and not doing the thing that you're supposed to do, it's valid. Your excuse for staying in that toxic relationship, it's valid. Your excuse for settling in that situation and forgetting all those big dreams, it's valid. When you drill deeper, you'd realize that all those excuses are valid. But that is the problem. The problem is that your excuses are valid. And because they're valid, you have accepted them and allowed them to run your life. You have made them the guiding principles of your life. And that is where the problem is. The truth is, you cannot control everything that happens in life. Between the ages of 1 or 0 all the way through till 18 years, you barely have the ability, or you're barely allowed to make decisions for yourself. So during these time periods, things may happen that you'd wished wouldn't have happened, but you can't do anything about it. But what you can do something about is the years after that. Yes, your family background wasn't the best. You didn't come from a rich home. It's valid. Yes, you went through some traumatic times during childhood. Because of your parents' relationships, it has pushed you into toxic relationships and you can't get out. It's valid. There are some things you can definitely control, and it is how consistent you can be and how much you can show up. A wise man once said that if you cannot fulfill the promises you make to yourself, how can you fulfill the promises you make to others? You say you would do this task at this set time, but you can't fulfill those simple promises that you make to yourself. How much more the promises that you make to others? I used to be very inconsistent, making up billions of excuses why I continuously was inconsistent and indisciplined. And I tried to use my charm and my smile to make people think that I will continue with whatever I said I was going to do. But along the line, I stop. And then the people realize it was wrong to trust me. But last year, I learned something beautiful that changed my mentality. And it was that consistency creates trust. So the little tiny promises you make to yourself that you're going to do A, B, and C build trust in yourself, and that's building your self-esteem. However, when you're not able to do those things, you end up mistrusting yourself. You cannot trust yourself. How can someone else trust you? That's one very basic principle in sales. You should be able to trust whatever you're presenting before someone else can trust it. You should have confidence in what you're presenting before someone else can believe that it's possible. So it's understandable that you have millions of excuses and they are valid, and my heart goes out to you, because human beings, we are naturally wired to go towards what's familiar. So you've had situations in the past and they are repeating themselves because we go towards what's familiar. The brain is so wonderful. It tries its best to conserve energy because energy is very vital for the human body. And in order to conserve this energy, it must go towards what's familiar because we've dealt with that before. So we know how to go about it. But here's the case. These things that are familiar are what's keeping you down. These things that are familiar are the very excuses that you have made your brain believe is the way to go. So it's easy to make excuses. So it's easy to continue procrastinating. It's easy to stay in that toxic relationship because it's familiar. You've dealt with it before. It's easy to stay in that situation, but it's difficult to say, in spite of my circumstance, in spite of the mistakes I made in the past, in spite of all the things that have happened, I choose to rise above the storm. I choose to make a difference. I choose to come out of this toxic relationship. I choose to come out of this space that is not helping. It's difficult to make that decision, but that very decision is what's going to make you come out of that space. What is going to make you excuse all those excuses and start making a difference? So the next time you have an excuse for something, it's a familiar situation, so your brain knows how to play it out. But then you've got to rewire your brain. So the next time you have an excuse for something, just pause and think about it. Tell yourself that excuse is valid, but you cannot allow that excuse to run your life. So change that mindset and choose otherwise and become better.